you want with O'Brien anyhow? You're not welcome here.
Right?
Then I'm gonna have
The story kicks off with a group of SWAT officers, James, Cliff, Sam, and Walter, reuniting after wrapping up a recent mission. They're joined by their wives and girlfriends, including Stacy, a respected journalist and James' longtime friend. As James catches up with Stacy, Walter receives an urgent phone call. His expression turns anxious, and without ending the call, he hurries into the house. Concerned, James follows him and asks what's going on, but Walter brushes it off, saying it's nothing serious and that he'll handle it later. Later that evening, while James is relaxing at home, he receives a distressing phone call from Walter's wife. Through tears, she informs him that Walter has been killed. James races to his brother's house, where he finds Walter dead, shot in the back of the head. While still reeling from this, he receives another urgent call, this time from Cliff. Cliff pleads for James to come quickly as he fears for his life. James rushes to his house, but it's already too late. Cliff has been brutally stabbed. James inspects Cliff's phone and discovers a message from someone named Bill O'Brien. Continuing his search through the apartment, James is ambushed by an unknown assailant. However, thanks to his training, he manages to overpower and subdue the attacker. James demands answers. He wants to know who the man works for, but the attacker refuses to speak. James shoots him in the leg to get him talking, but all he gets is a string of insults. Realizing he won't get anything useful, James ends the man's life. Seeking help, James meets with Lieutenant Ross, his best friend and the former commanding officer of Walter and Cliff during the Afghanistan War. James informs him about their deaths, but Ross advises him to stay out of it and let the authorities investigate. However, James is consumed by vengeance and refuses to sit idle. He then asks Ross if he's familiar with Bill O'Brien. Ross admits that he is. O'Brien was also one of their men during the war. Just as James is about to head home, Cliff's phone rings again. It's O'Brien calling, but the call is cut off. This strengthens James' suspicion that O'Brien is tied to the murders. At the same time, a wealthy businessman named Ted Bauer hires a deadly hitman named Ree to retrieve a missing $40 million. Ree's first step is to speak with Lieutenant Ross, who tells him that Walter and Cliff were the ones who stole the money, and that he personally killed them. Now, both men believe that the money might be with James. Stacy visits James at his home, but their conversation is interrupted by a knock at the door. Two men claim to be gas inspectors, but James senses something's off. Suspecting a trap, James allows them in and, with Stacy's help, quickly overpowers them. Ross learns through news reports that his two men have been taken out by James. To find out more, James hacks into military records and locates O'Brien's home address. He warns Sam to stay alert and then heads to O'Brien's house, only to find it empty. Soon after, he notices suspicious individuals approaching. Once again, using his combat experience, James eliminates them all. This latest assault makes Ross and Ree even more desperate. They still don't know where the money is and need to force James to reveal its location. To pressure him, they come up with a plan to kidnap Sam. Later that day, James and Sam continue searching for O'Brien. As they prepare to leave, Sam goes to the bathroom, where a man with a syringe sneaks in. Just before the needle reaches Sam, James intervenes and saves him. He questions the attacker, but the man claims his boss will harm his family if he talks. Without hesitation, James injects him with his own syringe. Using intel from former military contacts, James visits a bar that O'Brien supposedly frequents. He finds O'Brien there, but when he inquires about him, the patrons warn him to leave. James complies but takes down several of them outside. As O'Brien gets into his car, James is waiting inside and holds him at gunpoint, demanding to know his involvement with Cliff and Walter. O'Brien confesses that he was their friend and explains everything. Back in Afghanistan, Lieutenant Ross had roped them into a covert drug smuggling ring. They used the bodies of dead soldiers to transport narcotics to the U.S. Walter, Cliff, and O'Brien were all forced into this operation and desperately wanted out. But Ross wouldn't let them go, fearing they'd expose everything, especially since they'd already involved 2 outsiders. Eventually, they stole the money as evidence against Ross and fled. James urges O'Brien to take him to the location where the operation was based. That evening, James, Sam, and O'Brien go to a warehouse. While Sam waits outside, James stealthily disables the guards and enters the building with O'Brien. They split up to find evidence. James uncovers a large stash of drugs meant for distribution, but O'Brien is caught by one of Ross's men and fatally shot. James quickly hunts down the shooter and kills him. Ross soon arrives with reinforcements and captures Sam outside. He and his men storm the warehouse, leading to a violent gunfight. Despite being outnumbered, James manages to escape. Later that night, one of Ross's men returns home unaware that James has followed him. James confronts him and demands to know who killed Walter. Under threat, the man confesses that it was Hammond, Ross's trusted lieutenant. After getting the answer, James kills him. The next day, Ross contacts James, offering to exchange Sam for the stolen money. Although James has no idea where the money is, he agrees. But Ross betrays him, Sam is killed during the exchange, and James is shot as well. He wakes up in a torture room where he meets Hammond, Walter's killer, and Ree, his former comrade turned mercenary. Ree demands to know where the money is, but James insists he knows nothing. They then threaten Walter's wife, whom they've taken hostage, pushing James to admit he had lied about knowing the money's whereabouts. His only goal was to save Sam. Ross soon arrives, greeted by his men. James takes advantage of the distraction to break free. When Hammond returns, James ambushes and kills him with a block of wood. He then confronts Ree and Ross. Ree cynically tells James that a soldier's life offers no reward, just pain and sacrifice. They exchange bitter words, followed by bullets. Ree hides, hoping to ambush James, but James ultimately shoots him in the chest. Ross tries to flee, but James gives chase. The pursuit ends when James finally corners him. In their final showdown, James kills Ross, avenging the deaths of his brother Walter and his friend Cliff, and bringing justice to the men who betrayed them all.